Oh, welcome on into the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. Today we're going to talk about this issue. It's a question. Can one person make a difference? Many people would say no. He's only one person or she's only one person. You need hundreds of people to change things. But I'm here to tell you people today a story, a personal story that disproves that fallacy. I began my third year of medical school training way many years ago. In the third year of medical school, you begin to treat patients. The first 2 years are basically book work, but beginning in the third year, you start to interact with, diagnose, and treat patients under the supervision of an attending physician. My first assignment was the pediatrics rotation. I will never forget walking inside into that pediatrics unit and hearing children crying from every direction, running around as if they had lost their minds, hugging their mother or father in fear. I walked up to somebody who looked to be in a position of authority, turned out to be the chief resident, and I said, I am who I am. I am the blue-collar psychiatrist. Not really. And what do? This is my first day on this rotation. He said, you see that guy over there, little kid, 6 years old? Go and start an IV on him, intravenous line. Well, I am not gifted with manual dexterity. And I tried my best, and I stuck that kid again, and I could not get that needle and thread it into a vein. The kid started crying and pulling away from me and calling for his mother. And I didn't even know what to do at that point because I saw that I just couldn't do it. And I tried again, and the same thing happened. And again, the same thing happened. But finally, a benevolent nurse saw what was going on, and she helped me to start that IV. But as I went home that day, I began to think, gee, I didn't realize that medical school involved so much manual dexterity. If this is what it's about, maybe I chose the wrong occupation. Maybe I should quit medical school. I remembered the previous year, a classmate did quit medical school. He told us that, he said, this is the way he talked. I had to go to see the psychiatrist before they let me leave, and then finally they let me go. And he was happy as he could be. He was getting out of medical school. He said, this isn't for me. And I thought to myself, if what you have to do to quit medical school is to see this psychiatrist, I'll make an appointment with the psychiatrist. I remembered his name, as luck would have it. I remembered his name a year later. And I said, I'm going to make an appointment. I saw him the next day. I walked into his office, and there I saw a middle-aged man with graying hair and a friendly face. He said, come on in. I walked in. He said, sit down. He started asking me questions. I didn't really realize at that time what he was asking me or the purpose of the questions, but really it was a psychiatric evaluation, an interview. He wanted to know more about me as opposed to what problems I was actually having, but he knew why I was there. I said, and after I explained it to him, I said, you know what, I'm going to quit. He said, just a second, hold on. He went to a cabinet, to a filing cabinet with 4 drawers. He opened the top drawer, pulled out a manila envelope, or manila folder rather, and started looking at some papers and rifling through papers. I didn't know what he was doing. About 10 minutes later, he came back, he sat down, looked me straight in the eye and said, "You're not going to quit. If this is what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to take you off of the pediatrics rotation because I know you're having a lot of problems there. And I'm going to put you on the psychiatric rotation where you won't have to draw blood or start IVs. In the meantime, I'm going to set you up with a phlebotomist at the hospital. She will teach you how to start an IV and how to draw blood." Remember, he didn't know who I was from Adam. And yet, he put himself out for me. Next day, I went, met the young lady, attractive young lady. We hit it off. And she taught me, basically, to make a long story short, she taught me how to do it. Now, I was never the champion IV starter, but I was able to do it after her teaching. And from that point on, it was reasonably smooth sailing, as smooth as one can expect while being enrolled in a rigorous medical school program. And sometimes I look back on that and I said to myself, and I do say to myself, boy, was I lucky I could remember the name of that psychiatrist who had dismissed my classmate the previous year. And what if that psychiatrist had been on vacation? What if he was on sick leave? What if he, for whatever reason, was no longer even there on the staff? But sometimes you have to be a little lucky. And I was. And I got a hold of the right guy. And he, without knowing who I was, saw something in me that was worth saving. So I say to you this. I'm going to answer that question, and you already know what the answer is. The answer is yes. One person can make not only a difference, but a huge life-saving, occupation-saving, self-confidence-saving intervention and change the trajectory of a human life. It's an inspiring story for me to think about, and I can never repay this man for what he did. Just absolutely saved my life. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you to drink and drink abundantly from the fountain of life. Sarah!